honestly truly think that was the hardest part because there was a mix of like not knowing, but like there's also a sense of mourning that happens. And I think that needs to be talked about and normalized more. You know, my mom always says, like, prayers don't have an expiration date. And so I am thankful for my Southern mama's prayers.
Southern Baptist.
Because I don't think I would be where I am today if that woman wasn't on her knees praying for me every day. Do you know that like 90% of families that have like people immediately with a disability in their family, they're unchurched. So like praising the Lord, it's a joyful noise. It may not be like a in the right key noise, but it's a joyful noise. So he's banging on drums, I'm shaking the maracas, we're singing deep cries out in our own way, but like that's his way. That's how he's encountering the Lord. So like there's no fancy guitar and background music. I can't sing. I'm not gifted in that capacity. But I'm going to make a joyful noise, and I'm going to make this accessible in your way. So if being in the classroom isn't the way, then we're going to find a way that works for you.
This is the Unspecial Podcast. We are a space for parents to be seen, heard, equipped, and inspired. We're not here to tell you what to do with your child or present the latest and greatest behavior modifications. We are simply here for you, the parent. And our goal, our hope, is that through every one of these conversations, you leave feeling a little bit more inspired and hopeful. We are glad you're here. Hope you enjoy this next episode. All right, this is the Unspecial Podcast. Today I'm joined with Jessi Mansfield and super excited to have this conversation because I think this is something that needs to be talked about more. And we're going to be talking about disabilities and the church and what happens when faith, autisms, and families collide. And the church has to decide whether inclusion is just a slogan or a lifestyle. Jessi, welcome.
Oh, I'm so excited. What a fabulous entrance.
So Jessi and I know each other from the Rhythm Church, the best church in North County. I mean, I've been a pastor's kid my whole life. And
really?
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
I know. I definitely had my rebellion days. Just like every pastor's kid.
I mean, I grew up in the Baptist church, so in South Louisiana, so.
Oh, like super Baptist.
Super, like pew, like still wooden pews, hymnals, organ, piano, choir.
What would like some of the old timers do at Rhythm Church? What would they say?
Honestly, I think some of them might have a stroke. Like if we have some of our friends start doing deliverance, I really think they might just stroke out. What's crazy is I grew up in a Baptist church, but I went to an Assemblies of God school. So like, what a contrast.
Yeah. Wow. That's interesting. But looking back, I don't know, other than, let's see, I was a youth director at my dad's church in Morro Bay for the middle school and high schoolers. And we had one special needs kiddo.
Yeah.
But other than that, growing up, I don't think I ever saw any special needs in church.
No. I was thinking about it kind of over the last couple of days. If there was a time growing up where like I saw someone with a disability or special needs in school, in church, I had a neighbor.
Yeah.
But like they weren't connected to a church. I didn't really see him unless like we just so happened to be playing outside at the same time.
Yeah.
So like until I really moved to California and kind of started working in all the various places, I didn't really, and it's terrible to say, but I just didn't really see people with special needs in public, let alone church.
Yeah. What? Wait. Before we get into that, let's go.
Yeah.
What's your background?
Yeah. So I I was in the Marine Corps for 4 years.
Oh,
That's how I ended up here in California. My
okay.
son found the noisiest toy. Um, and that's how I ended up here in California. I'm originally from South Louisiana. And then after I left the Marine Corps, actually on my way out of the Marine Corps, I was going to go to college. I had applied to like NYU, a Georgetown. Like my plan was not to stay here. But in my last months of being in the Marine Corps, I met my now husband, and we spent 2 weeks apart at Christmas time to go visit like family. And after that, we came back after the holidays were over, and we kind of just looked at each other and we're like, if that's what the next 4 years would be like without each other, I don't want to do that. So I said, okay, I'm just gonna stay here. So I stayed here in Southern California. When I exited the Marine Corps, I worked in primary care. I started with, it was a grassroots like primary care at the time. Now they've been bought out by Amazon, so they're much bigger.
Okay.
So if you log into your Amazon app, you see Amazon One Medical. That's where I used to work before they became Amazon One Medical.
Ah.
And so we did a lot of like partnership there with like Radies, UCSD. I worked with incredible people there who created things like neurodiverse toolkits for our office.
Hmm.
And that's kind of where I got introduced just to the world of special needs. And then from there, I left primary care and I started working nonprofit here in Southern California. It's called Community Interface Services. They work with adults with developmental and intellectual disabilities. And so when I left primary care, I went there. I was originally like a resource counselor. I had like a caseload of like 8 or 9 adults. And then I became like a coordinator for a specific program there. And then I had my son. And the Lord kind of called me to what we're doing now at Rhythm. And so I had to make the faith-filled, scary decision of like, I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to quit my job. I have no payment. I'm not getting paid to run the Haven. So I just said, okay, Lord, I'm going to be obedient to you. I quit my job. I stayed home with my kids. And now here we are.
Here you are. What is your husband still in the military?
He left active duty and he's in the reserves now, but he has such a cool job. He's a DoD contractor for the Navy.
Nice.
So he teaches all like the Navy SEALs and other, I don't know, special ops guys, whatever, how to fly drones. I don't know. He always talks about
No way.
drones. Yeah, so he's a drone guy.
That's cool.
I'm just his test subject when he's like trying to practice teaching. I have no idea what he's saying, but I just and ask pretend questions for him. So
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So, what was it about working with special needs and disability community that drew you in?
So initially, when I was in primary care, it started with our office just not being equipped to meet special needs individuals kind of where they're at to provide them quality care. So I have an incredible friend. Her name is Brooke. Her son has special needs. He's autistic and he's just a medically complex child. He has some other medical needs. Incredible. He's my stepson's best friend. But she is such an amazing person. She is the one who initially was like, our office is not equipped to serve children with special needs. And through her own experience, she's the one who's kind of started advocating for making our office more accessible. And I just learned and gleaned from her. And so I partnered with her in that. And at the same time, I had a heart for like the elderly population that was being seen at our office. A lot of our patients who were elderly, I had one patient, his arthritis, bless his heart, was so bad, like he couldn't grab anything anymore. There was just certain things where he just couldn't do without assistance. And so that small introduction of just like a glimpse of like, oh, our patients who utilize wheelchairs can't come into our office. Like we have to move out the furniture because when we built this place, or when this, not we, but when the place was built, individuals in wheelchairs were not put in mind. And so it started with those small little things and kind of learning from Brooke about a neurodiverse toolkit and how it can be overstimulating to be at a doctor's office, or scary, or all these things that really kind of opened my eyes. And this was even before we got my stepson's autism diagnosis. So when that came later down the line, that was like a whole other thing. But those were like the beginning moments of like watching her life and her son, and how she poured into our office to make it more accessible. So it was like, oh, I never thought about these things. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, I didn't know what stimming was. Okay. And kind of just seeing those moments and learning from her throughout that process, that really opened my eyes.
Yeah. How old's your stepson?
He's 6 now. He's 6.5.
And how old is he when he got married?
When we got married, he was, let's see, he was 3.5, almost 4. I came into his life even before the autism diagnosis. So he was a year and a half when I started dating my husband.
Okay.
Um, we got married when he was about 3.5, and now he's 6.5.
When did the diagnosis come?
At 2.
Okay, so the diagnosis came before you got married.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. This is an interesting dynamic.
Yeah.
That I mean, I don't hear of it often, but I do hear of it, of people marrying into families of
Yeah.
autistic kids or whatever. So what was the mindset with that? Was it like, I have all these past experience. I am so equipped for this. Like, God has prepared me. Not a big deal. Or was there any reservation?
There was no reservations. There was just, I definitely didn't feel like I am so ready for this. I'm so equipped. We've got this.
Yeah.
This was still like, I didn't work nonprofit at the time. I had just kind of been introduced to like the world of special needs. And so when we got the diagnosis, at the time, even before that, it was kind of, it's a blended family. And I always tell families, even now that we work with, like, you don't know what you don't know. So like before we got the diagnosis, we had kind of moments where we were like, that's different.
Yeah.
Never seen that before. And we had questions like, could this be something? Or is this like a matter of just having, 2 households, maybe a different parenting? Again, we don't know what you don't know. So like we'd never heard of stimming. We didn't know what stimming was. We didn't know sensory seeking, sensory avoiding. So we kind of, when we got the diagnosis, we were just like, okay, what does this mean?
Right.
And at the time, I did not feel equipped, and neither did my husband. We were like, we have no idea what we're doing. And so that's why I look at my friend, Brooke, and she was like a heaven sent. She was sent from the Lord, because probably every day I would go to her and be like, Brooke, I don't know what I'm doing. What is this thing? What? They said we got to go and do ABA, occupational therapy. What are these things? They want to do a sleep study. What's a sleep study? What does sleep have to do with this?
Yeah.
Because just feeling so overwhelmed, there's all of these just words on a piece of paper, and just someone being like, they're autistic, and no one really explains what that means. What comes after this? Like, where do we go from here?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm thankful for the friends that I had, because I don't know what that would have been like had I not had her. She was already like a season ahead. They were already doing ABA. They had already done their sleep studies, feeding therapy. So she was a season ahead of me. So I could just call her whenever and be like, Brooke, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm crying in the Albertsons parking lot. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah. Would you say that's the hardest? Was the hardest part? I mean, every new phase has its hardship, but just the like not knowing.
I honestly truly think that was the hardest part, because there was a mix of like not knowing, but like there's also a sense of mourning that happens. And I think that needs to be talked about and normalized more. Um, because there was this mourning of like this idea of what life would look like, coupled with an uncertainty of, I don't know what this is going to look like now. And so you're kind of just experience this range of emotions of like, what does this mean for his future?
Mm-hmm.
What is this going to mean for his friends? Is it like, are people going to treat him differently? Are people going to be mean to him? Is he going to be able to make friends? Like, what is school going to look like? There was so much uncertainty, and kind of just this mourning of having to like let go of like all the sweet, while they are sweet, sweet, like romanticized ideas you have in your head when you have kids, all that has to go out the window. Like you just have to become willing to just roll with the punches.
Yeah.
And that was like the initial hardest part. But once we got into the therapies and started learning, it felt like everything made sense. It was like, oh, yeah, I see why you do that now. Oh, I didn't know that that was sensory seeking. I didn't know that was sensory avoiding. I didn't know what stimming was. I didn't know these things. Okay. And since then, well, yes, there's hard parts in every season, but since then, nothing has felt like that initial diagnosis
Okay.
season.
That, I mean, that's encouraging for a lot of the listeners, for sure.
Yeah.
What it like? Wow. So you were dating and got the diagnosis. I'm just like trying to imagine on the husband side of things, or
Oh, yeah.
on your fiance side of things at the time. And I know, like, my initial thought is, okay, I have a son. He just got diagnosed with autism. That's another challenge. And then my mind goes to like, am I at risk of losing my
Hmm.
girlfriend, fiance,
Hmm.
because of this? Did that happen?
Those are definitely things that crossed his mind. I mean, now granted, we are like a blended family. So like we,
Kind of, yeah,
there, you know, he has his mom, he has us. And so like that in and of itself going into it, I remember him kind of just being like, who would want to date a guy who's divorced and has a kid, let alone when we got the autism diagnosis, he was like, now my kid has autism. Like, are you sure you want to date me? Are you sure you want to be with me?
right,
Because now it's not just blended family. Now we got blended family and special needs, and I don't know what I'm doing. On top of that, we have no family out here. My husband is not from here. I'm not from here. So we were like alone and afraid when it happened. And so
yeah,
those are definitely things that crossed his mind. Um, However, those were never things that crossed my mind. There was never a moment where I was like, as my son's in the background, like, yeah, yeah, yeah.
right,
There was never a moment where I was like, oh, he's autistic. Yeah, too much for me. I'm out.
okay,
By that point, I had been in Luke's life for almost a year.
okay,
And like for me, like he was Luke. Like there was not the autism or not, that wasn't going to change who he was. He had already become my little buddy. At that point, he could talk, so he would call me his Jess. He could just walk away from being his Jess. And who the autism diagnosis didn't change who he was to me, and it didn't change how much I loved him.
hmm,
And so there was never a question of like, oh, I might have to walk away because this is too much.
yeah. No, that's good. What what helped you guys push through some of those times? Brooke, Brooke helped, and that's a big thing. I
Brooke.
always we talk about probably on every podcast, like how important community is, and
Hmm.
to not isolate and be alone because that just compounds the hard.
Yeah.
But I mean, it takes a little bit to put yourself out there.
Oh, for sure.
Kind of admit, yeah, I don't know what's going on, but I'm going to
Mhm.
find somebody who does,
Yep.
and lean on them. But what else? I'm assuming your faith.
Actually, at that time, my husband and I, we weren't attending church. We didn't have rhythm.
Oh,
So,
okay.
like, the way that we saw God move in our lives and, like, just our testimony, that's why anytime I interact with, like, our special needs families, I now, looking back, 5 years later, I'm like, God, now I see what you were doing. In the moment, I didn't see what you were doing. It didn't make sense to me. But now I'm like, that's what you were doing, Lord. So,
Yeah.
actually, at the time, we didn't have faith. We
Okay.
weren't attending church. We didn't have rhythm. We had Brooke.
Yeah.
We had Brooke and her family. She has 4 kids. So we had Brooke, her 4 kids, her husband, and then like our Marine Corps friends at the time. Like we still had lots of friends who were still serving active duty. So we had them. Their kids weren't special needs, but like they were our friends, and that's what we
Hmm.
had.
Okay. So friends. I
There's friends and your mom's prayers. Like,
Yeah. I always wonder how people get through this stuff without God, but it makes sense. You have friends. It's not the
I mean,
same.
I feel like, oh, it was much harder.
Right.
Like now that we have our faith, and maybe that's why even like every new season that we go through, it feels not easier, but just lighter. Like The reality is still the same. His needs may change, but there's not so much heaviness that I feel. And I do attribute that to our faith. In the early days while we had our friends, there was so much heaviness.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm thankful that we have our faith now. I'm thankful, my mom always says, like, prayers don't have an expiration date. And so I am thankful for my Southern mama's prayers
Southern Baptist.
because I don't think I would be where I am today if that woman wasn't on her knees praying for me every day.
Wow. So what was the journey to faith?
I mean, I grew up in the church. My dad's side of the family, I also come from a divorced home. So my dad's side of the family was Baptist. My mom's side of the family's Catholic. I went to an Assemblies of God church. And my mom was non-denominational. And so I always had, in some way, shape, or form, a connection to the Lord, whether that was from schooling. I had friends of like every denomination throughout school. So I had friends who went to the Methodist church, the Pentecostal church in town, the Catholic church. And really, growing up, I went to like every youth group. So I went to the Pentecostal youth group. I went to the Assemblies of God youth group. I went to the Methodist youth group. And truly, I was probably just wanting to be with my friends. It wasn't really about like Jesus.
Right.
But the seeds were planted. And I think that's kind of the mindset that I have going into like the Haven is growing up. Like the reasons I went to all those things were not because I was just so on fire for the Lord, it's because I wanted to be with my friends, but those seeds were planted. And so when I left home and I joined the Marine Corps and I went through all these things and then I had no faith, when it came time when I felt this tugging in my heart, realizing like we had Luke, he now has an autism diagnosis, like we are responsible for a life and his upbringing. It was those seeds that were planted that was like, oh, well, I know what growing up in church did for me and the principles and all the things that it did for me. And so I immediately fell back on that.
Yeah.
And I went to my husband and I was like, I think we should go to church. So we tried a couple different churches.
Yeah.
And after a couple, so this is how we ended up in Rhythm. Crazy story. I'm trying not to derail us. But
Go.
in 2020, when Rhythm launched, I went to like one of their opening weekends. I was still active duty military at the time.
Okay.
Then I deployed. And I never went back to Rhythm for like 3 years. And so 3 years later, when my husband and I are like, we should probably find a church. We had tried a couple. And after trying a couple, I was like, I went to this one church like 3 years ago. I don't know if it's still here. But we could try it. Like if this church doesn't work, I'll leave the whole church thing alone. We had tried several.
Okay.
So I was like, if this church doesn't work, I'll leave the church thing alone. Fine. Like we can just leave it. And we went to Rhythm, and I remember we left church that day, and we were just like, this is home.
This is it.
This is it.
Yeah.
And we've been at Rhythm since.
Wow. Yeah. Rhythm's such a cool church because I just love the demographic of people.
Oh, yeah.
You got military, you got surfers, you got skaters, you got older crowd, a lot of young families.
Yeah.
And it's so real. I've been in so many churches and it seems like they just try too hard.
Yeah, I'm thankful we have Rhythm.
Right.
I'm thankful for our church family.
Yeah. It's crazy too how we ended up at Rhythm because we were living we went to North Coast for many years. We lived down the street. We went there for like 5 years, but then we moved to Idaho. And then we left Idaho when my wife was diagnosed with cancer. And we came back. We lived with her parents for 10 months. And then last summer, we went to Idaho for the summer. But then moving back, I was like, hey, I don't think we should live with your parents anymore. They're amazing. It's just, we're a family of 6. So it was like, let's get on our own. We were in a decent place to live on our own. And we found the place we're in half a mile from Rhythm on Zillow. We never looked at it.
Wow.
We just filled out the lease and showed up. And then we were still going to North Coast, but I'm like, I'm tired of this drive. Yeah. And then I was like, oh, I remember the young adults pastor left and started his own church. And I looked it up, it's half a mile away. And then it's funny, like two of our neighbors are, one of them's the worship leader on North Coast, and then my immediate neighbor I worked with 10 years ago, and I was
Mhm.
like buddies with him. But it's like God put us right here.
Yeah.
And then we heard about the Cove, and I was going to homeschool the kids all 5 days of the week, and it was just like everything fell into place.
Yeah.
And then rhythm has been like just huge for us
Yeah.
in our journey. It's like anything I ask for, it doesn't even matter. Like, hey, can
Yeah.
you like bring me sunflower seeds or something stupid? Like somebody's gonna
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean that's church. That's what it should be.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even when I was pregnant, my youngest came premature. Um, and again, we have no family out here, so it was just me and my husband in the hospital. And speak of my husband, hi, are you going to grab the tiny human? Yeah. Okay. Here's some puffs.
Oh, the puff.
He's smiling ear to ear. He came premature, so it was just him and I in the hospital.
Oh.
And everyone from Rhythm, like they started a meal train. They donated like hundreds and hundreds of dollars to us, like to pay for groceries and food.
Yeah.
Some women from my women's group came to our house while I was laboring, cleaned our whole house, did my laundry, put fresh groceries in my fridge, and I mean, they just took care of us. And so, like, because that was given to me, like now I'm like, I want to give that to others.
Yeah.
So
Totally.
it's just so cool.
And I think the best place to start for families of special needs to find community is church. However, there's a big problem with that because disabilities and the church don't always go hand in hand. And I have a couple theories for it. I understand church. I understand the business behind church,
Mm-hmm.
being in it forever. Um, and, if you look at it as a business, okay, businesses have their niche. And you can only be good at what you're good at.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can go down that road like, oh, it's a young family church or it's a military
Mm-hmm.
church and so forth. It's hard to be good at everything if you don't have the resources and the manpower and the volunteers. I mean, most people are volunteers at church.
Mm-hmm.
But then you go back to the Bible and a lot of churches say everyone is welcome. Come as you are.
Mm-hmm.
But then when it comes to special needs, it's like, uh-oh, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
What do you think? Why does that gap exist?
So I really thought about it. I tried to think about my upbringing and then even now what I've learned and kind of even what I've learned when I worked nonprofit and just seeing like the general public's kind of interactions with individuals with disabilities, let alone even just church body. And I guess one of the common themes that I noticed over and over and over again, whether they were believers or not, is they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like you don't know what you don't know, but like for so long, I mean, if we look back and we take the history route, people with disabilities were locked away, they were put in institutions.
Mm-hmm.
And then, they were eventually brought out of institutions, but that doesn't mean that they were integrated into the community. And so while they may have been out of institutions, they were in a group home, never left, or they lived with their parents. There was no resources, so they were not out in the community. So they still weren't seen and being integrated into the community that they live in. And so then now, as like we're having this push of like community integration and like having resources and community living,
Mm-hmm.
well, we've had years of just individuals not seeing people with disabilities and churches were not equipped. And so I think it really just comes down to a matter of, and this is just from my observation, I mean, I know that everyone's experience is different, and so I always try to be open to that and just listen to their experience because my experience is different. But from what I have observed over the last 5 years is just they don't know.
Mm-hmm.
They don't, they, as crazy as it is, they've never seen an adult with Down syndrome or cerebral palsy or autism. And so they don't know how to interact with them. They're like, what do I say? What do I not say? Do I just do I talk to this person and then they talk to them? Like, what do I do here? And especially with like the changing, terms and language around disability is constantly evolving. I've noticed a lot of our like church family, they mean so well and they love and they care, but they're so afraid to hurt a family
Yeah.
by using outdated language. Like, they're like, I don't know what to say. What do I do? And I'm like, the language does change. And it's okay to ask, what do you prefer, with autism or autistic individual? Or,
Right.
I would rather you ask than just ignore their existence.
Yeah, like the easier route is just to
Just to be honest, to say, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And I've noticed that families would much rather you say, I don't know, like, what do you prefer? What do you guys do in your home? Than for you to just pretend they don't exist.
Right.
They end up feeling isolated and more alone if you just ignore them than if you're just upfront with, educate me. I'm open.
Yeah. And then I feel like churches are stuck with too, like, okay, we have this kids ministry, we have a couple kids that are autistic. We'll just integrate them in the class. And then we have a bunch of, big-hearted, willing people to help them out, but don't really have the skill set or don't really know what's going on. And so then it doesn't like become a core emphasis of children's ministries. Whereas I've always thought it would be the coolest to have that option and to market that option. Kind of like the saying, if you build it, they will come.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah.
I remember, before the Haven. Okay, the Haven is the special needs ministry at Rhythm Church here in Oceanside, and Jessi is the coordinator. But I remember before, we were pretty new, but I was starting to hang out with Pastor Chris, and he started to learn about me a little bit. And the big push at the end of the year was make more room.
Yeah.
Because there's just no room. The church is going crazy. Everybody's coming, which is amazing. And then every new space they open up, it just brings more people. And I was like, hey, you want to really compound your problem? Good problem?
Yes.
I was like, start a special needs ministry.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, bro, there's this Jessi and she's talking about it and she wants to do it. And I'm like, oh, finally, this is amazing. And he's like, yeah, and he's like, it's in the works. I think I met with him the same day you did. You were like later in the day. He's like,
I made a whole presentation, like a slideshow presentation.
And that like feeds Chris's business brain. And he's like, yeah, she's coming in. I think she's done her homework.
Oh, I mean, I pulled, okay. I went to like the San Diego County like census. I was pulling numbers of like by age group, how many people in North County alone have a disability. I gave them like numbers. I went to a training hosted by Johnny and Friends.
Okay.
And I was like, do you know that like 90% of families that have like people immediately with a disability in their family, they're unchurched. 90%. Like I was pulling I put like a map. I mapped out in North County alone. I didn't even do the south of the county. I did North County alone. Every group home a dot. And then I did a dot showing like a church dot showing Rhythm, and then another dot showing another church that I could just find online that said they had a disability ministry. And there was just two of us. I was like, bam, and all of these other tiny little dots.
There was only two churches that have a ministry?
So I've learned now, it seems like the Lord, I really know that the Lord is doing a work. But at the time when I met with Chris and Jeff and Kaylee, when I would Google special needs like children's ministry, nothing came up.
Nothing, wow.
Nothing was like publicly broadcasted. I needed to find the one church that I did find. I had to go through a second website. I think it was like San Diego Disability something. It was like just like a resource page. Yeah. And they had linked the church. So it wasn't even like I Googled and the church came up. Now being behind the scenes, I'm seeing that like all of these churches are popping up and they're launching disability ministries.
Okay.
And they do, many of them have the hope to like publicly broadcast this ministry soon. But I've heard over the last 6 months alone, well, if you build it, they'll come. And we want to make sure that we don't just like do it, but that we
Yeah.
do it well. So I've had the incredible privilege of like working with these churches in North County and learning from them. They're a couple months ahead of us. They've been, having a special needs ministry for maybe a year. And now like they're just now starting to feel like they've got like a understanding and a handle on this. So, but yeah, at the time before I met Chris, I was like, there's if I Google it, it's not showing. So, oh yeah, bless them. I mean, I was emailing them like every other week. Like I was like, I know we met last week, but you guys said to schedule a follow-up meeting. So when would work best for you? I already have this, and this. You wanted these answers. I've already got the answers for you. When would you like to meet?
Right. And I think it's such a massive need, which we've talked about. And I believe that so many special needs families won't even approach church because there's not a space for them. And I just have a dream that someday churches have this offer. I mean, there's small groups for everything. Single moms, married couples, young families, blah blah blah. But then when special needs is not really there, and I'm not trying to knock on churches. I think it comes down to the people and people stepping up, really.
For sure.
And I know so when I was teaching, taught for 7 years, I was in the classroom 5 days a week. And the last thing I wanted to do, just completely honest, is to do it again on a Sunday.
For sure.
And
absolutely.
For a while, I was like, teachers just need to step up. There's, I bet in every church there's someone works in a special needs something, and they just need to step up and do it. But then it's like, well, that's kind of their time to go learn and, recoup. But now I'm in an interesting spot where I'm not in the classroom. And so now I just want to, because it's fun. But yeah, if you build it, they will come. And I remember telling Chris, because he was like, well, we're going to take it slow and we're going to like, make sure we do it well. And I'm like 100%, but I'm so on the other side of like, let's just send it and figure it out.
So that's me. I mean, and I so respect our pastoral staff. I love them. And thank God for them, because I've had to be very honest with them. I am all gas, no brakes.
Yep, me too.
Like, I felt like the Lord like spoke this, and I was like, okay, we're doing it. Let's launch next week. I don't know how we're going to do it, but we're going to do it. And this is what it's going to be. And I mean, thank God for their wisdom, because now I'm like, oh my gosh, if we would have launched like out the gate with like this, like, it would have not gone well. It would have gone so bad. So thank God for their wisdom and their patience, because I was ready to like just hit the ground running. Like, God spoke that we were supposed to do this. Now we're going to do it next week. Right. We're doing it.
Market it all over the county. Yep.
And it is crazy because we didn't like even announce that the Haven existed until like 2 weeks ago. So we've been we soft launched in March. And the soft launch was like just to meet the needs of like our current congregation. Obviously with the hope of like, we want a hard launch. Like, we want to put it out there. We want people to Google special needs ministry and like Rhythm pop up. But that kind of, that whole thing of like, if we're going to do it, we want to do it well. Like, because it's not just, while it is about the kids, it's a partnership with the families. So we want to make sure that the families are getting poured into, that they're getting fed, that we can meet their needs and their kids' needs. It's not, we're not a holding tank of just like, we're just going to babysit them and like, whatever, we'll just keep them occupied. We're discipling them as well. Like, whether it's autism, Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, whatever it is, we are discipling them as well in their own unique way. That, is for them. But we're discipling them, and we're also pouring into you as parents. And so when we soft launched in March, it was just about meeting our current need and learning so that we can equip ourselves to meet the needs of families that would eventually come. And by the end of March, we had like an influx. Like, we started off with maybe like 3 families. Next week, we're going to hit double digits.
Yeah.
And it's not even like, which is incredible. Thank you, Lord. But it's not even like we put it out there. It was, I'm meeting so many families coming up and being like, oh, my friend comes to church here. She said you guys have it. We didn't have a church, but since you have this, we're coming here now.
Totally.
Which, praise God, getting families in church, praise the Lord.
Yeah.
But even word of mouth spread it fast. And then we announced it 3 weeks ago now from stage.
Oh, we did. Okay.
I didn't know that was happening.
Yeah.
Someone was just like, did you know Chris gave the Haven a shout out? And I said, he did what?
Beautiful.
Which, thank you, Chris, because, I mean, again, I trust their wisdom. And so obviously they felt like it was the time to announce it. And just this week alone, I had 3 new families sign up.
Mm.
And praise report, which I'm going to share at our all staff meeting today, but I'll share it here.
Yeah.
Just what God is doing. This last week, we had 2 of our students in the Haven say the salvation prayer. They gave their life to Jesus.
Way.
I'm like, thank you, God. We had 3 families sign up. We had 2 salvation prayers, and we had 8 kids with us last week, which if only launching in March is crazy. Like we're not even in June yet.
Right, and it just shows like how many families they want it.
Yeah,
they do. And then I mean, it's cool to have all the stuff for the kids, and you talk about making the gospel accessible.
mm-hmm.
What would be how would it, we talk about doing it well.
Yeah.
What would it not doing it well look like?
For me, not doing it well is almost like just making a one size fits all.
Yeah.
And being like, well, this is what you got, take it or leave it, fit into it or beat it.
Mm-hmm.
What I have learned through my stepson, and then obviously working nonprofit with adults with developmental and intellectual disabilities, is each person is so unique. Their needs are so unique. Their supports that they need are so tailored to them. And so not doing it well would just be giving like a blanket, like, this is what we got.
Right.
Take it or leave it. And so like what I do now is every week. Okay, so we're going to go down the rabbit hole for a second. So I have my students that are in the Haven. I give their parents like an intake form. And it's really just so I could partner with the families, because at the end of the day, the parents, like, them best. So like, I want to know what your kid loves. What are their strengths? What like brings joy to their eyes? Like what captures their attention? But also like, what are some areas that they could use support in? That way I can be prepared. And I take this information, and even like the first couple times that I support them in class, and then each kid, I kind of make their own kind of like curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
So like some of our kids, like they mainstream, they just need a one-on-one support in the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
And so with that, I make little snapshots of each child for every volunteer of like, here's some ideas where if they elope, this is what we can do. They elope because they're bored. They elope because of this. Maybe sitting down and them reading out of our storybook Bible is not going to do it. Maybe we need to be off to the side and do like imaginative play with Paw Patrol. Okay, we're getting the whole Paw Patrol gang involved.
Yeah.
And
Marshall.
Yes, Marshall, is whatever. So, but I have some kids who I make a whole lesson plan. It's like, we're in a separate room. I have a sensory room. We're in a separate room. I don't even relay the information through the Bible. We're playing with trains while we're doing it. Maybe we're both like spinning. I had one student where we just spun in circles while I just talked. Mm-hmm. And they listened and they asked questions, and we're just spinning in circles for like 45 minutes straight. Mm-hmm. One student, the mainstream classroom setting is a little too overstimulating. So like we have live worship now, which I love.
Yeah, so cool.
It's incredible. But for this student, doesn't work. Like they will elope, they will hit. It's too overstimulating. So we got our own little instruments, and we go in our own sensory room, and they love music. So like praising the Lord, it's a joyful noise. It may not be like in the right key noise, but it's a joyful noise. So he's banging on drums. I'm shaking the maracas. We're singing deep cries out in our own way, but like that's his way. That's how he's encountering the Lord. So like there's no fancy guitar and background music. I can't sing. I'm not gifted in that capacity. But I'm going to make a joyful noise and I'm going to make this accessible in your way. So if being in the classroom isn't the way, then we're going to find a way that works for you. And that's what we do. And I'm so thankful. I love it. Every Sunday, I walk away just being like, thank you, God. Like, wow. Like every Sunday I just feel blown away and I feel honored to partner with the Lord in this because it's not me. You know, it's not my ministry, it's the Lord's ministry. And I tell our volunteers, like, the Lord could use anyone. The Lord could use a donkey. He did use a donkey.
Right.
And I am thankful that he's allowing me to partner with him in this. This is his. This is all his.
Yeah. And it's like just the overwhelming, like, here I am, send me.
Yeah.
And just having that, like, open posture to,
Yeah.
whatever it's going to be. And those intake forms are super beneficial. You sent me one. I didn't end up helping that kiddo. But, like, even though with my background, I know what's going on. But even seeing it, I'm like, oh, okay, this is very helpful.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
Yeah.
he's going to run away. Don't chase him.
Yeah. Yeah. Stand at a nice, safe distance.
It's just those little reminders. And I think, too, that could be a hard thing in churches is the volunteers.
For sure. I mean, it's intimidating.
Yeah.
I mean, even starting the Haven, like I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I don't know what this is supposed to look like. I mean, it was really like complete surrender of like, Lord, these are your children. They deserve to be a part of community and to hear the gospel and feel like they are loved, and they are, but they deserve to experience your love through people. And I don't know what that looks like. Like, early on, I was just like, I've encountered one church that does it so far, and I've met with them. And while the way that they do it is great, we don't have that size campus. We don't have that many volunteers. Like, Rhythm, the way it's set up and just the way that we do things is so unique. So while I love that I get to go to different campuses and learn from them, most of them, the way that they do things, just we can't replicate that because of the way Rhythm is. But I can learn from it and I can figure out ways to adapt it. And so walking into it, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. God, like, have your way, like, speak to me.
Oh, you're crushing it. I've been volunteering in a couple ministries, and it was just kind of like a glorified daycare.
Yeah.
And, there's a space, the parents can go to church. But when we really think about it, and the whole mission and purpose is for them to hear the gospel.
Yeah.
And it has to be accessible. It has to be adapted.
Yeah.
And I think you're doing it well. So
thank you.
And
Thank you.
I have a blast. It's like, we kind of mentioned it before I hit record. The biggest pet peeve is when people tell me, oh, you're so patient. Oh, God bless you. Oh, you're going to get brownie points in heaven. And, it's easy for me. It's natural. It's not intimidating. And I think God has just wired me that way.
For sure.
But hearing that, I'm like, okay, I think of the mindset of somebody to say that. And it kind of feeds into how society views the disability community as less than.
Yeah.
And when I look in scripture and what Jesus says, it's like he loves all of us. And there isn't that less than
for sure
image from God. So why should it be from us? And if we're called to love people, it's every person.
For sure. Especially when I was giving the presentation to our pastoral staff about why this ministry is needed, why it matters, I tried to spend time in scripture of like, okay, God, is this a me thing? Like, when I do things, I want to make sure that like it's biblical, that the Lord is like breathing on it. And so I spent time in scripture like, okay, God, what does your word say? And I look in like Luke when they're having the feast and the owner says, go and get, in the Bible, it says, go get the cripple. I know we don't say cripple now, but in the Bible, he's like, go get the cripple, go get the lame, go get the deaf, like bring them.
Mm-hmm.
They were invited. And the words that were used, I had to look up the meaning of the word, but it was not just like a, hey, friend, come on, you should come. It was like a convincing. That's what the meaning of the word was when it was urging them to come. Like, come. I'm trying to convince you that we want you there. Come sit at the table. Come partake in this feast. In the same way that able-bodied individuals would be. And I look in the story where Jesus is preaching and the friends carry the one man to the roof and cut a hole in the roof and lower him in.
Oh, which Rhythm has an incredible song from the live
Oh,
night.
Tear off the roof. I'm telling you, I'm crying. I'm like, down the roof.
I've listened to that on repeat so many times.
But when I look at that story, I'm like, even if just one person partakes in the haven, even if it's just the one, look at what they did in the Bible just for the one. It's not about attendance numbers. It's not about if the haven has the most. It's about the one that needs to encounter the Lord and needs to say the salvation prayer, who needs to be discipled, and needs to know that they're loved. They need to encounter the Lord's love through his people.
Right.
And that's one of my biggest things that I tell our volunteers. There's some weeks where the lesson that I plan, we don't do it. It's not happening. They show up and I want them to show up, and I tell our families this. I don't want your kid on their best behavior, quote unquote. I don't want your kid masking, that they feel like they need to come to church to mask to fit in. I don't want you or your child showing up here feeling like you have to be anything else than yourself, because no one else feels that way. Our neurotypical friends, they don't feel that way. They come to church however they are. And I want them to know, I want you coming to church however you are. If your kid is having a meltdown and I need to grab some Cheez-Its and we'll go sit in the grass and I'll blow bubbles, that's what we're doing.
Right.
Okay, I don't get to tell them about, David and Goliath or Noah's Ark. Sure, okay, but you know what I did get to do? I got to show them God's love by loving on them exactly how they showed up. So what? I sang them a song, we laid on our backs in the grass while bubbles floated around us and we ate Cheez-Its. And I just got to show them through my actions that Jesus loves them, and so do I. And I'm glad that they're here.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that continues just to be, I hope that becomes more normal. Not, obviously, Rhythm is doing a great job of embodying that, but I hope that becomes the normal just in the church community.
Yeah, 100%. And then behind every child in a disabilities ministry, whatever, is the parent.
Yep.
And that's a whole nother side of things that I would just love to see. I told Chris, the Haven, everything is amazing, but we got to get the parents in small groups.
Yeah.
And I always thought it'd be cool to have a special need parenting specific small group, because I think it does a big thing for people to run in circles of those going through the same stuff, because nobody quite understands unless you do it.
For sure.
So I'm sure that's coming. For sure.
I mean, I already emailed James. I'm sure these people are probably tired of getting emails from me. Bless our pastoral staff. But I did email James. I'm sure I already know the book, but Letters to Lindsay, Seeing Your Child's Autism Diagnosis Through a Gospel Lens. Yeah. I have read that book. It rocked my world. That's also one of the things that influenced me heavily when starting the Haven. Uh-huh. I would like to have some sort of small group and we go through that book together.
Oh wow.
Just so families, especially we have lots of families who are only coming to church because they heard about the Haven. They didn't have a church before, they don't have a church background, but they heard about the Haven, so now they're coming. And so to meet them, whether it's early on in the diagnosis phase or it's been years, but to meet them where they're at and to show them through, the theological aspect and scripture that your child's not broken. God didn't make a mistake. They are still loved. They are still, members of the kingdom. They are still image bearers.
Mm-hmm.
And going through a book like that just in such beauty, she does such an incredible job, just beautiful language of explaining that. I would love to partner with families and parents and go through that with them, because I think, and what's been really hard seeing this with families is, they worry about their child's salvation. Is my child ever going to be able to be saved? Is my child loved? Like, is my child worthy? Like the same things that we tell our neurotypical kids, that they're God's masterpiece, that they were fearfully and wonderfully made. I've encountered so many parents that wonder if those same things, if those same scriptures apply to their kids with special needs. Yes. I'm like, and God bless our parents, because once I get their phone number, I bug them. So I'm constantly like every week, like, I'm so glad I saw you. I'm so glad you guys came. Like, I loved having them there. Like, I don't care that they came dressed as a Ninja Turtle. Bring them dressed as a Ninja Turtle next week. Like, I don't care. I want them here. I want you here. Because I know especially how impactful it was for us to get spiritually filled up.
Mm-hmm.
So that when we went home, we were able to then pour into my stepson. Like, we were running on E prior to that, when we had no faith, when we didn't have church, trying to parent a special needs child without the Lord and no like spiritual filling. We were burned out. And so when we found rhythm and we were able to get poured into, we parented him and showed up for him so much better. My husband and I were able to love each other so much better, like Jesus, because we were being poured into. And so, yes, I want their kids there, but I want the parents there too. Like, please go sit in service. I'm going to do everything in my power to not call you out of service.
Right.
It's 1 hour. Again, like, if we got to jump in the bouncy house for an hour, so be it. I want you in that service.
Mm-hmm.
I want you seeing children getting dedicated. I want you seeing baptisms. I want you getting the word, because those things matter and you need to be poured into as well.
Yeah, so good. That's such a big piece. For the parents to get filled up.
For sure.
What would you say to a parent who's like on the fence of trying it out?
Of trying out church?
Yeah. Find one that has something.
Of course, yes.
Yeah.
I would encourage, one, I would tell them, pray. Like, pray about it. Like, that the Lord makes a way for the right church for your child. Of course, I want to believe that every church out there is doing the Lord's work and following the scriptures and is going to be able to receive them like how they are. I want to believe that, and I don't want to knock church. So, but I would encourage them, pray. Mm-hmm. Pray that the Lord kind of shows you where you need to go. But go. Even if it's not the right church the first time. Go. Find one. Like, when we were trying out churches, granted, the first several churches we went to, they weren't a fit for us. But we were out of the house on a Sunday. Like, that was one day that we at least weren't stuck in the house, like, with meltdowns and, all these things, behaviors. We're at least out. At least talking to people. Like, having conversations with other adults. But just go. Go, and I promise that, like, the Lord, he loves you. He loves your child. And this is kind of what I tell myself with my own kids. And then what I tell other families is the way that you love your child is like only a fraction of the way that the Lord loves your child. And so the way that we love our children is just like a mere glimpse into how the Lord loves us and how he loves our children. And so if we love our child this much, the Lord loves us enough to provide, to make a way. And so I believe, I know, especially with what I'm seeing just in the churches here in North County, I know the Lord is moving. Even if it's not Rhythm, there are other wonderful churches in North County that are starting special needs ministries. I know the Lord is doing something, and I know a place at the table is being made for these families and for their kids.
Yeah, 100%. And then if there is somebody listening and you go and you try it out and you don't find it, I'm always a big believer, if you can't find it, create it.
Yeah.
And if it's not you starting it, maybe it's a friend or somebody who is maybe more equipped, and you just mobilize them.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
What about for a volunteer? Like, how would you encourage somebody to volunteer?
I tell our volunteers now, especially when I've, given like classes to like just general rhythm kids volunteers. And it's even in our handbook. I don't need you to have a degree in this. Like, fun fact, I don't have a degree in this. My degree is in criminal justice with a concentration in juvenile justice. I do not have a degree in this. I'm not college educated
It goes hand in
for
hand.
this. Yeah, totally. Criminal justice, for sure. I tell them, I don't need you to have a degree in this. I don't need you to even have prior work experience in this. I don't need you to know all the terms, all the lingo. I don't need you to know everything. What I need you to have is a willing heart, a willingness to show up, and to love these kids. If you can have those things, we can work together. We can do it. Like, anything is possible. If you have a willing heart, the Lord can use you.
Yeah.
So just do it. Like, you don't have to be intimidated of like, I don't know this, I don't know that. Friend, I don't know half the things either. We're learning together. But we have a willing heart, and the Lord can use that.
100%. All right, we'll close it out. We'll close it out with the last question. I usually close it out with this question. What encouragement would you have for parents? Give them some hope to their to their journey that they're facing.
Yeah. I know, especially, I mean, wherever you're at in the journey, I know that you could feel alone. It could feel hopeless. It could feel heavy. But you're not alone. There are families who are walking the same path as you. There are people who are watching you and don't know how you're doing it. Like, I hate to say, are inspired by you, but that's one thing that I hear all the time with our stepson, is people that I didn't know were watching us or learning from us. And I'm like, I don't know why you're learning from me. I don't know what I'm doing, but okay. But I know that it feels heavy right now. I know that it feels hopeless right now, but the Lord sees you. The Lord loves you. He loves your child. This is not the end. This is a small moment in your story, in your walk. And this is but a season. And I guess my heart is, and what I always want our families at the Haven to know, is you are not alone. And I want you to know how loved you are. Like, how much, if you don't feel like anyone else sees you, the Lord sees you. He does. All right, the scriptures tell us that he catches every tear and he bottles them up. Yeah. And so every tear that you have cried, if no one else has seen them, the Lord has. And he sees you and he loves you. And I pray that he puts the right people in your path and in your community so that you can feel seen by them too. So good. So good. If you're listening here and you're in San Diego, come check out Rhythm Church. Come to Rhythm. Come sign up your child for the Haven. And if you're open to it, and if you have questions of starting something at your church or any of that behind the scenes stuff, Jessi is the one to call. We'll learn together, but I will share the knowledge that I have now. I'm more than willing to share the knowledge so that the gospel can be accessible to all kids of all abilities, of all ages. And hopefully it doesn't just stay kids, but that it becomes an integral part of every ministry, adult ministry, youth, middle schoolers, the whole shebang. That it's not just a side ministry, but that it's fully integrated into the church. Yeah, because that is the heart of God. Yeah. That we love all people. Awesome. Yep. This was the Unspecial Podcast. Jessi Mansfield, the Haven coordinator. Thanks for joining us. Thank you so much. Yeah.